I would like to call to order the regularly scheduled board meeting of the Parish Union School District Number 95 Board of Education for April 11th, 2016. Let the record show that all members are present except for member Nopel. Voting sequence for this meeting is as follows: Nopel, Mathis, Isa, Sanchez, Tuttle, Bailey, and Ida. Audience to visitors.
I have a letter I'd like to read. I think it's in your board pack, but I'm gonna read it. It says, the Mayo Athletic Department would like to issue a huge thank you and job well done to the following people and businesses for the materials and construction of the new asphalt millings road and 120 foot by 90 foot parking lot that was constructed last week at the Mayo softball field. Open Road Paving Company and employee Pat Roberts, Dirt Poor Landscaping, owner Dusty Rhodes, Paris District 95 Maintenance Department, Sam Roberts, Jerry Thurman, Austin and Dylan Redmond, Instar Electric, and Steve Idle. They did an exceptional job. If you have time, you have a look at it. It's really nice. I mean, it's going to be really nice. So, I really want to say thank you.
All right, thanks, Mitch. Appreciate it. Anybody else? Consent agenda. We usually drop that into two things. Are you going to talk about finances, or are we?
I'm going to have Jeremy give a quick report on, he's devised that spreadsheet that gives you our expenditures and our
Do
revenues,
we
so
want to do that
we
before
can do it
consent,
now.
or do you want to do the consent agenda first?
you might do it first. I got it down in your presentation, so. If you want to do the consent, that's fine, and or if
Okay.
you want to do it now, I don't care.
All right. I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda if everybody's read it.
So many.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Would each member please respond to the motion? Well, I'm sorry, any discussion? Get ahead of myself. Would each member please respond to the motion? Mathis,
Yes.
Isa,
Yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Tuttle,
Yes.
Bailey. Yes. Idle is yes.
Okay, you do have a copy of the spreadsheet that Jeremy has devised to help keep track. He calls into the office and gets the figures and the numbers, and as you'll see, he'll explain a little more in depth, but we are right where we should be. Expenditures, we're right at around 70%, and our revenues, we're on target as well. So Jeremy, if you want to go through, and then if anybody's got particular questions.
There's just a few things I want to point out. So we're 75% of the way through the year, so I kind of look for the number 75. So like if I'm on the side that shows your revenues on top, expenditures on bottom, what I see there is like for the expenditures, the ed fund, we're only at 70% of what we have budgeted. So we're 5% below. Now I know 5% doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're talking about 5% on $9 million, that's $450,000 less than where we should be at this end of this year. So you can go through and you can see that. What I would say though is we're expecting some jump in expenditures next month. So like for example, when you go into April, there's 3 payrolls because we do every other week. And payroll is about $225,000, $230,000 per payroll. So you're going to see a jump in expenses next month, so don't jump when you see those. Just know it's that extra payroll. The same thing is this next month we're planning a bond payment. So you're going to see a bond payment pop up next month, so don't let that scare you. Another thing is transportation is going to start rolling in. So since it's the end of the year, I personally called Michelle Ball today and said, can we start getting a lot of those bills more quickly, so that way we can start seeing what our expenses are going to flow through at the end of the year. So those are 3 of the expenses you're going to see jump is in the ed fund, in bond and interest, and you're also going to see it jump in transportation, and I would say transportation will be from here into the end. So you will see some of those, but overall I think we look pretty good. If you flip to the side that shows just the revenue with the yellow, you know, on the ed fund last month we were at 100% local, now we're at 101. I still think that's an amazing thing. Not only did we budget enough money, but we're actually receiving more money, so we under budgeted what we've received locally in the ed fund. The biggest thing locally in the O&M fund that we're still waiting on is CPTRT, which is your corporate personal property replacement tax. So that's the big chunk right there. You can see it's 1231 CPPRT, and you can see we're at 62%. We are expecting to get all of that. It just takes time to get it. So everything else local, if you go to transportation and working cash, we're at the 100%. So, you know, basically what I want to explain to the board, I feel like at this point, expenditures, we're on point. Everything is under that 75%, and if it's above the 75%, that's because we've made that bond payment and bonded interest, or also because in our tort, we have that surplus in our tort. But everything else, we really control, so that makes me happy. Now it's kind of waiting game on revenue. So what are we expecting revenue from the state and federal government? Mostly the state, and that's just a waiting game to see what would happen. And our deficit, I would still project the same as we said the other months, so.
What's that?
I was, what?
479, 623.
It'd be about in the $400,000 range. I would also go as far as to say that if we don't get state money, like they start holding back more, just rough ballpark, it could get to 700,000. I mean, there's definitely that possibility, but that's everyone. That just depends on if the state holds back. But we, again, I would like to make the comment that we budgeted 6.3 million is reporting. You can go on Perez, anyone can look that up, the public can. ISB's reporting 6.6 they're gonna give us. We are at 6.3 in our budget. So we under budgeted. What they're saying they're gonna give us with the anticipation, they're not going to give it all to us. Okay, so, but I think we're in line. One last thing I'd like to say is, under each one of these on the side with the yellow, you'll see the projected amounts. I'm gonna clean that up next month for local, now that we know what our local is. I'll just give you a small example, and it's not a big deal, but like on athletic admission, we know that we're not gonna get any more athletic admission, and so I'm just gonna clean those numbers up on the projections. I just wanted you to be aware if you're going through calculating those out, you don't say, how come all of a sudden the calculation's different? So, any questions?
Thank you, Jeremy, that was a very good presentation.
The IRS
I'm
does,
glad to see that we're on target expense-wise.
Yeah.
We really are at the mercy of the state on the
on the
revenue side,
revenue,
but
as
our
The revenue is
budget
not
amount is
right.
good.
Yeah, our expenses are in good shape, and like
Everybody
I
on
said,
the
unless
staff
they short
is
us.
to be commended for sticking to the budget. I know that's tough sometimes to do.
And it's, we haven't had a whole lot of unforeseen and emergencies, which has been very helpful too, but, and this, the state, our corporate personal property is figured by IRS, so that will come, but it's always comes later in the year, so.
Have we got all of our categoricals we're supposed to?
We're getting them on time, yeah,
Okay.
but we don't know if we'll get everything
The
in
last,
the end.
yeah.
The last.
They always
ones.
wait till the end.
Yeah, they always wait till the end, and that's when they're gonna short you if they do, in your last state aid payment or something, which would hurt us. It would hurt every district though, so that's beyond our control. So, the next thing, on the agenda is a resolution, and we do this
Do we
yearly.
need a secretary before here?
Oh, we didn't do that yet? Oh, we did this before we did mine. Okay, I'm all ready for presentations. Okay, sorry, Beetle.
That's all right. Thank you so much for the kind donation to the food pantry in the memory of our mother. It says, I'm lucky to work with great people in District 95. Thank you, Emily Vaughn. I think that's about Mrs. Blumenthal.
Mhm.
I've known a lot of years. She's a real nice lady, good family.
Is that it? Okay, well, presentations are off my agenda. The next is the working cash abatement. We, each year, usually move the money from our working cash over into our ed fund. The amount for the abatement would be $34,817.70. This is a permanent transfer and is allowable, and this is, like I said, something we do every year. This time, I would ask the board to approve a resolution to abate the working cash fund and move it into the education fund.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? we do this every year, is there a reason to put it in a working cash fund to start with?
Yeah, because we have to levy for it in the working cash fund. But it's one of those funds that you could move in for other, in ed funds. Some are very, like your transportation, all yours, you would borrow if you need that money. The working cash is one that you, and most, everybody moves it into
You
their
don't
ed
have to
fund.
pay it back yet.
Right, you don't pay it back.
All right. Motion's been made and seconded. Would each member please respond to the motion? Mathis,
Yes.
Isom,
Yes.
Sanchez.
Yes.
Tuttle.
Yes.
Bailey. Yes. Idle is yes.
Next, we have a resignation, received a resignation from Lori Drake. Lori has been serving as the Mayo volleyball coach for the past several years. At this time, I would ask the board to accept the resignation of Lori Drake as Mayo volleyball coach.
So made.
Second.
Any discussion?
Not really discussion, but I just wanted to make a comment. She really did a great job with this group of girls, sneaking up the state the last 2 years in a row. These are kids that really never played volleyball before. We didn't have camps at Mayo, I don't think, and just did a remarkable job with the girls.
Super.
Yeah, now she's a long way.
The motion has been made and seconded. Would each member please respond to the motion? Mathis,
Yes.
Isom,
Yes.
Sanchez.
Yes.
Tuttle.
Yes.
Bailey. Yes. Idle is yes.
Lori had sent her proposed resignation in quite a while back, so at that time we posted for that position. So we're ready to recommend employment for that position at this time. And Mr. Roberts and Mr. Larson have been interviewing for that vacant position left by Lori. And they are recommending Jamie Schneider as the volleyball coach for the 16-17 school year. You have her resume included. I would ask that the board approve Jamie Schneider to serve as Mayo volleyball coach for the 16-17 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Does she live here now?
Yeah, her husband just took the nurse, probably won't say, anesthetist job at the hospital. They were from Edwardsville, and yeah, they just got moved here.
I
She
just
was
saw
the
that.
head coach at Bethalto High School for 6 or 7 years, and now she's at Breeze Central. So we were lucky, she happened to be moving here, and she moved here now, so we kind of fell into it. She's got about 10 years high school experience and played 4 years at SIUE college volleyball, so we think we found a good one.
Good. All right, the motion has been made and seconded. Would each member please respond to the motion? Mathis,
Yes.
Isom,
Yes.
Sanchez.
Yes.
Tuttle.
Yes.
Bailey. Yes. Idle is yes.
Okay, next we have another recommendation for employment from Mayo. You have included a recommendation from Mr. Larson for the employment of a new drama director at Mayo School. As you'll recall, Marie Wimsett resigned from that position earlier, and Mr. Larson's recommending the employment of Nancy Zeman to serve as Mayo drama director and Toby Sanders as the assistant director. I'd ask the board to approve these recommendations.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Has she got any experience?
I don't know. Can we see a resume?
I've never heard that.
This
man.
is not nepotism, is it?
This-
I think it's a great move.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Motion has been made and seconded. Would each member please respond to the motion? Mathis,
Yes.
Isom,
Yes.
Sanchez.
Yes.
Tuttle.
Yes.
Bailey. Yes. Idle is yes.
Better wait till a little later to thank us, Nancy. We had some,
Write something nice about yourself.
yeah, she's very qualified. We had a couple of donations, and I'll read the donations for you, and I'll ask for a vote for both of them, if that's okay. We received a $500 donation from Mike and Christy Bosk for the Link Scholarship. This goes to an 8th grade student that demonstrates knowledge for service. It's the link between education and citizenship in the local community. We also received a donation from Scotty Ingram of Ingram Waste Disposal for the trash service at the Mayo softball field. Scott waived our $40-some trash fee for the March service, so I'd ask the board to accept these kind of donations. Robertsfield, yes. Sorry.
That's all right, sorry. Thought I said it.
Somebody.
I put what Jeremy types up, but the sign even says should say
Sorry.
Robertsfield too, I think. yes,
Any
I-
discussion?
Discussion?
A motion has been made and seconded. Would each member please respond to the motion? Mathis.
Yes.
Isom.
Yes.
Sanchez.
Yes.
Tuttle.
Yes.
Bailey. Idle, yes.
Okay, it's time to renew our IESA membership. And as you know, we have memberships at both Wentz and Mayo schools. Mayo schools fee would be $910 and Wentz is $185 for their renewal. I'd ask the board approve the renewalship of the IESA membership for both schools.
So made.
Second.
Any discussion? Motion has been made and seconded. Would each member please respond to this motion? Mathis.
Yes.
Isom.
Yes.
Sanchez.
Yes.
Tuttle.
Yes.
Bailey. Idle, yes.
Okay, I put 3 policies for first reading that you had an opportunity to look at in your packet. These policies are required by law, so it's pretty much a moot point if you would want to adopt them. What would happen, they all deal with student behavior and student discipline. We talked a little bit before about Senate Bill 100 and some of the changes that brought, and one of those was in-school suspensions and expulsions. And what the state is trying to do is look at ways, ensure that districts are looking at every avenue before students are expelled or suspended from school. The same limitations are there, weapons, drugs, those are just givens. But they have added some language that is mandated by the legislature, and as far as doing some positive intervention types of things and some things that you have to go through in procedures before you just automatically suspend or expel a student. So policy 7190 deals with those issues that they have added, and I gave you a list of anything new that was added to the policy. And 7200 is suspension procedures, and 7210 involves expulsion procedures. We have all of these policies currently, but what we've done is update to meet the new legislative requirements. What they've asked that we do at the state level is to go ahead and adopt these, place them in our policy manual. They would become effective the first day of school, this coming school year. We would be operating under our current policy till then, and then we would just discard the current policy. So at this time, I'm just asking for the first reading, that the board approve the first reading of policy 7190, 7200, and 710, and then we would formally adopt those if any changes need to be made at the next meeting. So I guess I'm asking for a vote.
Do we need a motion? on that?
Yeah, I think we should.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? State something you're gonna have.
Yeah.
The motion has been made and seconded. Would each member please respond to the motion? Mathis.
Yes.
Isom.
Yes.
Sanchez.
Yes.
Tuttle.
Yes.
Bailey. Idle, yes.
Okay, I had in my informational, the athletic department, Nick read that letter in open session. We've also been meeting with the APT and with our communications committee, looking at class sizes and projections for next year and some options to deal with averaging out class sizes. So the administrators will be meeting this week and probably a little more next week, because park testing is going on this week. So if I asked Jeremy or Amy to leave their buildings, wouldn't be good. But to look at just different ways of looking at class projections and our kindergarten numbers, and we know we'll have a large third grade class coming in, so we're looking at all kinds of options there that we've been discussing with staff. So we'll bring back a recommendation for that in another meeting memo. Then the building committee did meet on Wednesday, April 6th, out at Allen Field, and the purpose of the meeting was basically to look at the pagoda. And after, not those last strong winds we had over break, but prior to that, there had been some shifting in the pagoda. And Sam had been out there and he noticed it just didn't feel right. So the building committee went out to look at options. And I'll wait if somebody on the building committee wants to talk about that during committee reports, we can. We looked at that. We also looked at some options the city had asked us to look at, possibly some of our property at the field by the tennis courts to look at. They were considering a dog park. So we did talk about both of those items, and I think there'd still be some discussion on the one option for the city, but we did at least approach that and talk about it. I don't know if Craig or anybody's
Oh,
called.
yeah.
I figured he had. You got a little phone? They like their dogs.
Ran left hand.
Yeah. So, but I'm not gonna report any more on that, I'll wait, and when we get to committee reports, you can go to the, building committee report. I did put a list in of all the board committees, everybody is on 2 committees, just to remind you, and probably one thing, the behavioral, all these new policies on behavior will be brought up again with the updates and talking about those in our, parent advisory and our behavioral committees as well. Their graduation will be at 6:30 on Thursday, April 14th at Wentz. Everybody is invited to attend that. And that is all of the superintendent's agenda. Next is
What
report.
date was that year graduation?
Thursday, 14th on a Thursday.
That's this Thursday.
This Thursday, yeah, matter of fact, yes.
Okay. Anything else?
No, you're down to report today.
Reports of committees. Do we have any committee reports? Would anybody like to report on our pagoda dog park slash?
Don't everybody jump, okay, don't Tom?
Well, I think we agreed it needs to come down. I mean, it's kind of a safety issue. Sam looked at it, and I think we're gonna take it down, and then, I think he's got somebody to volunteer to build something back, or we're working on something.
Right.
There's a new development.
Oh,
Sam called me today.
okay, well, regardless whether somebody
And I'm
builds it
gonna
back,
tell you
something's got to.
what Sam wants to do, and then I told him to talk about it, and, he thinks the, first floor of that pagoda is structurally sound, and he wants to take it down to the roof level of the first floor, and, put a new roof on it, and use that as a storage building for football field, the junior league, track, whatever they use it for up there, so.
That's concreted halfway.
Half of it's concrete.
Halfway up the wall, anyway.
And
That'll be
the,
solid.
and the reason they're doing that is the junior league is not interested in putting their new structure on that old structure. They want the new structure to be on the home field side, and their plan is to, put it up above the bleachers, behind the bleachers. They are working now to get donations of work and material so that there is no expense to the school. Any costs will be picked up by the junior league, is my understanding.
Is that the middle one that thinking about putting it behind, or one that?
Yeah, right on the 50-yard line.
Middle.
And I talked to Sam, that
But it won't
all
be
the
attached.
electricity and everything's over on the other side, which we discussed that would be kind of convenient, but he says they can run electricity from the other side to this building, and it wouldn't be a major issue.
The only thing, we would need to have our architects then approve that before it's used, since it is on our property. So if you can get it donated and everything, we don't do prevailing wage, and they
Yeah,
build
you
it,
just- yeah.
but we do have to make sure it's our.
It's gotta be,
safe.
yeah, it's gotta be
It's up to code.
stamped,
Yeah,
yeah,
it has to be,
it has to be stamped.
yeah.
We're in trouble.
Well, we won't need code.
No.
I mean, that, it shouldn't be a problem.
You just build it at the high school without an architect.
Well, you probably have one doing it. You can have one looking at it, I'm sure.
Okay.
You will.
Well, I'm sure Dave has.
Yes, I'm sure he has, because they would have looked at that, and probably the plan, I don't even know who drew up the plans, but, no.
Dave knows.
Probably your architect.
Well, to get back to the building part, that's what Sam thinks he can do with it. I mean, I'm for anything we can save if he can use it, you know,
Use it for
because
some
the
storage.
bottom part is half concrete. So if you were gonna save anything, I think you could the bottom.
He thought
That's
he
a-
could lift the top of it off and put it on a trailer and haul it off.
Yeah, that's
That's
kind
what
of, that's
They
kind
have a track out there now, which they probably can lift it off.
They're gonna take a chainsaw and saw it in two.
That's what they said.
And, so it's, I'd be
He said they thought they could
I'd be
lift it
surprised
off.
if that top stays in one piece, but it could.
How old is that? Does anybody know?
74, they said they built it. That's what they told us. It was built in 74.
There was one there before that.
Yeah.
It had a big title on it, if you look back in the old yearbook,
Yeah,
or the
because our
sixties.
73 yearbook it was.
Well, they're back in the early
74.
sixties are all taken.
And then what you said, Tom?
I
Yeah.
know you
Did
weren't
they say
born.
74? That's what
Yes.
Sam
I know you
said.
weren't born.
I think you meant 54.
I don't remember.
Yeah,
It was
so,
74.
does anybody have any comments on what we understand might be happening?
I mean, does anybody have any concerns or?
No, the dog park.
Okay,
That'd be on the-
there we go.
Would that be on the
Now we're
northeast
talking,
corner?
now we're talking.
Is that the northeast
All right,
corner of the property or?
Let me explain what the city would like, well, let me explain what the mayor would like to do.
Okay.
Where the tennis courts are, it's kind of an L-shaped, there's 5 in front, I think, and 1 in the back.
One to the south.
And he wants to take that for dog shows. And then he wants us to give the city the piece of property immediately south of the tennis courts between the field house for the junior league and the tennis courts. And the junior league uses that sometimes, and we suggested to the city that why don't they just take the tennis courts and use as much of them as they need for asphalt and tear the rest out and put grass in there. Number one, it's already fenced, so there won't be any expense to the city for fencing it. And that's our suggestion to them at this point. And they're considering our
And I do want to make it clear, the tennis courts actually belong to the city.
Right.
Okay, they are not our
Our tennis
property.
courts?
They have always allowed us to use them, and we have maintained them and run the lights. So we have no problem since the new high school with the tennis courts, and they know that.
Yeah.
They wanted some additional property so they could have a grassy area, and that's what we're discussing, I guess, at this point.
So the grassy area you're talking about is between the tennis courts and the field house
Yeah.
that they want?
That's what they've asked for.
Is that what he had? I thought he wanted west,
I thought they
of
wanted
the tennis courts to
One
Roberts
of the old
Street.
band field, yeah.
Yeah, that's what they wanted.
That's where they play the flag football.
And that's what.
Well, that's what they first
wanted
asked
to
for.
fit out.
And then I think we discussed at the
I thought
meeting,
they wanted between, that's what.
I think Tom brought that up,
Yeah.
that that might be a better
They
spot.
practice there too.
Yeah, well, if we did something, that might be a better spot, would be south. So I don't know, maybe
The
Greg,
practice
you guys
field.
can all go out there and talk about it.
The
but-
practice field has some value.
And that's the west of the courts.
Right, that's the old, what
Why
is
can't
it?
they choose
Eastern
Sunrise or
courts,
Sunset?
I'm wrong, yes, it's eastern courts. So, whatever, they would like some of the grassy, but we've offered, why don't you just dig up?
Why can't they go sunrise or sunset?
Well, they have another
What was your
option.
question?
What,
You can't talk.
What did you say?
I wanna know why they can't do it at sunrise or sunset.
Let me see if I can phrase this properly.
You're on tape.
And not in exact terms that was told to me, but I think we're the only town who does not have a nice dog park. And it's been suggested that it be put over on Union where that park's not being used, and Sunset, Sunrise, different places have been suggested with, and met with limited
Enthusiasm.
enthusiasm. That's the word I'm looking for.
Write that.
Write that down.
And so, I think right now, we've told them, they're concerned about the expense to the city of tearing out the asphalt and planting grass. And I think we might can help them with a remedy on that. I don't know, I haven't asked, but there's people that would probably.
Okay, so is the high school, new tennis courts at the high school gonna be available?
Pardon me?
Are the new tennis courts, because there's people playing out there, believe it or not. I've been out.
Well, and they may want to keep a couple of the courts, they had talked about that.
No,
but-
I think what she's asking, are the tennis courts at the high school going to be available for the public?
Well-
Public play on it.
They told me.
All of our facilities are, our track is, and
I think,
They said they were.
there's
Yeah,
a-
they
said they were.
There's a
Okay.
timer out there, I think now, and, where the lights go off. First they were on all the time, and now there's a timer out there that turns them off, and so I suspect that people that want to use it will have to understand the situation, and we'll have to talk about it at the board level at PCHS. But,
Would have been the
I
same.
don't
if
think
it was
there's any
here.
problem with that.
If it was not being used, then it was open.
You're right.
Yeah.
And our track, people walk the track and, you know, when it's not being used, and so I would assume that. So that's still up for discussion.
Anyway, anybody have any strong feelings one way or the other in terms of what we should be thinking about or doing or exploring? I'm gonna take that as a no. Move on.
You're still talking about a grassy area though, as opposed to the tennis courts possibly.
And
They
that,
want some.
that's what they would like to have. We would like for them to have the tennis court area and turn it in, part of it into a grassy area. That's their reason.
And I want to reiterate, the tennis courts belong to the city, and at this point, they are in need of repair. And we really don't need the tennis court. So the discussion started when I was, you know, they were going to take back maintenance of, and do whatever with those, take care of the lights and pay all of that, but they also wanted some land, grassy land, in, adjacent to it at some side or the other. If it's east or south, so.
Any other questions, comments? Cindy, you look like you have a question, or maybe it was a comment, I can't tell which it was. Okay,
I already asked my question.
all right. Any other committees have any reports for us?
I don't know, there's no.
Okay. Public hearings or petitions? Unfinished business? Matters for follow-up? New business? Right to revert to prior order of business? No need for an executive session? I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
Second.
Motion been made, seconded, Ms. Please respond to the motion. Mathis?
Yes.
Isom?
Yes.
Sanchez?
Yes.
Tobin? Yes. Bailey?
Yeah.
I vote yes, there's no use asking for discussion on that.